Hello and welcome to English Learning Hub. English Listening Test. Designed for B2 learners. This test consists of 20 questions which are divided into 4 parts. I will give you a short instruction at the beginning of each part. Before we get started, take a pen and paper so you can take notes while listening. Are you ready? Let's get started. Part 1. Listen to Alice talking about her favorite crime novel and choose whether the sentences are true or false.
You like crime novels, don't you, Alice? Which one do you think is your favorite?
I used to read Agatha Christie a lot. I think my favorite is probably still Murder on the Orient Express.
I've never read it. Why do you like it so much?
I love the setting, which is on a train in Yugoslavia in the 1930s. It's very exotic. Also, it has a fascinating mix of characters including a Russian princess, an English colonel, and an American actress.
So, what's the plot?
Well, there's a snowstorm in the middle of the night, which stops the train, and one of the passengers is found murdered. Poirot, the detective, who happens to be a passenger, realizes the murderer must be on the train because there are no footprints in the snow, so all 12 passengers and the train conductor become suspects. Poirot finds several pieces of evidence in the victim's cabin, for example a handkerchief, a button, and pieces of a letter, which seem to suggest the murderer has just been careless. But he can't prove who did it because at first one person seems guilty and then another until it looks as if it could have been any one of the 13.
It's very complicated, isn't it?
Yes, and we keep finding out more information. For example, Poirot realizes that everything happened an hour earlier than he'd thought because they'd entered a new time zone. So his first theory is that the crime could have been carried out by someone who had left the train before the snow started. But it doesn't explain all the facts, does it? But I don't want to spoil the ending for you. You could just watch the movie. It's perfect for a cold winter's evening.
Good idea.
Choose the correct option. Part 2. Listen to 5 conversations and take notes.
Noah, what's your favorite building?
Oh, for me it would definitely be the Hagia Sophia.
That's in Istanbul, isn't it?
Yes. It has a beautiful roof and 4 incredibly tall towers. It's nearly 1,500 years old. It used to be a church, then it became a mosque, but now it's a museum and art gallery.
You haven't seen my sunglasses, have you?
No, where did you last have them?
I had them at the football game. I was wearing them there, but then I don't remember seeing them when I got home.
You didn't leave them on the bus, did you?
Oh no, that's probably what I did.
What do you think is the most iconic album cover?
Oh, well, it would probably be Abbey Road, the one with the famous picture of the Beatles walking on a crosswalk.
Yes, everyone knows that picture, don't they? When I went to London, my friends and I tried to take a photo of us in the same place, but it was difficult because there was so much traffic, and we couldn't really stay on the crosswalk long enough to get a good picture.
I can imagine. Perhaps some traffic policemen would have helped.
How?
As a cook, Sophie, what would you say are the most important kitchen inventions? Well, it's difficult to imagine life before the freezer, which has only been around since the middle of the 20th century. Before that, it would have been difficult to run a restaurant.
Yes, I suppose people wasted a lot of food, didn't they?
Does your city have any particular landmarks, Ben?
I come from New York, so the main landmark is the Statue of Liberty. What about where you live?
Well, I live in Washington, D.C., so of course we have the iconic Washington Monument downtown.
Oh, yes. That's certainly impressive.
It certainly is. It's 555 feet tall and 55 feet square at the bottom.
Wasn't it damaged by an earthquake a few years ago?
Yes, it was. It's been closed since then for repairs.
That must be pretty dangerous.
Choose the correct option. Part 3. Listen to 5 people talking about an embarrassing situation they've found themselves in. Choose from the list which situation each person mentions. Use the letters only once. There are 2 extra letters which you do not need to use. One.
My most embarrassing moment? Well, there have been a few. Like the time I slipped off the treadmill at my gym. But probably the worst was last year when I was having a girls' night out with my colleagues. We were laughing really hard and really going for it on the dance floor when the heel on my shoe broke and I fell over. I nearly died of embarrassment.
2.
No contest. It was when I was putting together a do-it-yourself project. You know, the things you assemble yourself. Actually, it was our new tool shed because we needed somewhere to put the kids' bikes, and the lawnmower, and so on. Anyway, when I finished, I turned around to tell my wife and her mother who were looking out the kitchen window. As soon as I called them, the whole thing just fell apart, just like that, right in front of our eyes. Really embarrassing.
3.
Oh, I won't forget it anytime soon. It was when I was in Greece actually. There I was, having a good time lying by the pool, and I decided to move around so I'd get into the shade. Anyway, I don't know what I did with the lounge chair, but it suddenly folded itself up and knocked me over in the process, and if that wasn't bad enough, when I picked myself up, I ended up falling into the pool.
4.
Well, I know I'm not really athletic or anything, but I never thought running to catch a bus would be a problem. It was a few years ago now, and I had to go back to the house because I'd forgotten something for work. Anyway, to make a long story short, I slipped on a banana peel, yes, really, and made a complete fool of myself in front of everyone at the bus stop.
5.
Well, we had a new secretary. She'd only just started and we'd taken her out the night before to make her feel welcome. Anyway, she was pretty hopeless, to say the least, and on this particular morning, I was really saying what I thought about her and her work. Then she suddenly walked out of the small kitchen in our office next to where I was standing. She'd heard the whole thing.
Choose the correct option. Part 4. Listen to part of a talk a woman is giving on a famous scientist and take notes. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining me today to listen to this short talk on the life of one of England's most famous scientists, Professor Stephen Hawking. Stephen William Hawking was born on January 8, 1942 in Oxford, England during the Second World War. At that time, his parents' house was in North London, but during the war, Oxford was considered a far safer place to have babies because of London being bombed. When he was 8, his family moved to St. Albans, a town about 20 miles north of London. And at the age of 11, Stephen went to St. Albans School, and then on to University College, Oxford, his father's old college. Stephen wanted to study mathematics, although his father's first choice would have been to see his son enter the medical profession. Stephen's original subject of choice was not available at University College, so he decided to go for physics instead. At the age of 20, after spending 3 years at university and not having done very much work, he was awarded a first-class honors degree, the highest grade you can get for an undergraduate degree. Stephen then went on to Cambridge to do research in cosmology, that's the study of the development of the universe, there being no one working in that area in Oxford at the time. Although this was something of great interest to Stephen, it was a real challenge for him due to the kind of scientific background he had. After gaining his PhD, he became a research fellow, and later on a professorial fellow, at Gonville and Caius College, and he's been involved with Cambridge ever since. In terms of his health, Stephen had noticed that he was getting increasingly clumsy during his last year at Oxford, and, when he returned home for Christmas in 1962 at the end of his first term at Cambridge, his mother persuaded him to see a doctor. In early 1963 he spent 2 weeks having tests in the hospital and was diagnosed as having motor neuron disease, an illness which affects the muscles and controls activity, including speaking, walking, swallowing, and general movement of the body. His condition worsened quickly, and the doctors predicted that he would not live long enough to complete his doctorate. Stephen, however, did not allow this to get in his way. Stephen suffered another blow to his health on a trip to Geneva in 1985, where he caught pneumonia, a condition of the lung, and was rushed to the hospital. The hospital in Geneva suggested to his wife that it was not worth keeping the life support machine on, but fortunately, she did not agree with the consultants. He was flown back to Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge, where a surgeon named Roger Gray carried out an operation to remove his voice box. That operation ultimately saved his life, but meant that he had to be given a computer system to enable him to have an electronic voice. So, that was obviously a life-changing thing for Stephen. Choose the correct option. Well done for making it all the way through. Don't forget to share your score in the comments section. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe because more valuable content is on the way. See you in the next videos.